You've probably heard the story about a little chicken who thought the sky was falling, right? Well, today we're going to tell a new version of that story. And this one is all about something we use all the time, the internet.
Okay, so let's think about this for a second. Have you ever been scrolling online and seen something that just made you feel a little bit scared? Our story today starts with someone who saw something very scary indeed.
All right, here he is. Let's meet our hero. This is Chicken Little. He lives in this really cozy little house on a nice, quiet street.
And you know what? He's not really all that different from you or me. He's just a totally normal chicken. And right now, he's just having a completely normal morning, enjoying his toast and a little cup of coffee. But then, as he was looking at the news on his computer, his eyes got super wide. He saw this headline in huge, bold letters. And you know what it said? It shouted, "The sky is falling!" He was so scared that his beak just fell open. His toast tumbled right out of his hand and fell with a plop straight into his coffee. "Oh my goodness," he chirped. "I've got to warn everybody." And just like that, he flew right out the door. So Chicken Little just started running down the road as fast as he could, and the very first person he saw was his friend, Gwen the hen. Looks like she was on her way back from the grocery store. "Gwen, Gwen, the sky is falling," he yelled. Now, Gwen stopped and looked at him. She looked a little worried, for sure. But then she asked a really smart question. She said, "The sky is falling?"
Wow, really? How do you know?
"I saw it on the internet," Chicken Little said, and he puffed out his chest all proud. Well, that was all Gwen needed to hear. "The internet?" she squawked. "Oh my goodness, it has to be true then. We have to tell everyone. Come on, let's go."
So now you've got Chicken Little and Gwen the hen both running down the road together, just totally panicked. And pretty soon they got to the pond. And who did they find there? Well, it was Chuck the duck, just having a little bath. "Chuck, you gotta get out of the pond. The sky is falling." They both shouted at him. So Chuck stopped his paddling and he looked up. And guess what? He asked that same very clever question. "Really? How do you guys know?" And once again, Chicken Little gave the same answer. "I saw it on the internet," he said. And poof, just like that, Chuck believed them too. "Oh no," he quacked, "we have to go." Wow, this panic was really spreading, wasn't it? Soon they met Bruce the goose and then Percy the pigeon. And every single time a new bird asked, "How do you know?" the whole group would shout back together, "We saw it on the internet." It wasn't long before there was a whole flock of scared birds just rushing down the road. Okay, so eventually this whole panicked flock of birds gets to the main street of town. And who do they see sitting at a little cafe with a laptop? A very clever-looking fox. His name was Fred. Well, when Fred heard their story, this sneaky little smile spread across his face. He used his sweetest, kindest voice and said, "Oh, don't you worry, my little friends. I know the perfect place to hide. Just follow me." But here's the thing. While the birds heard a kind voice, Fred the fox was thinking something very different. Yep, he was thinking about his dinner. So, because they thought he was their friend, Chicken Little and all the other birds followed Fred the fox up a big hill, and at the very top there was a big, dark cave. Come on in," said the fox. "We'll be totally safe in here." And so one by one, they all walked right inside. The next morning, the sun came up just like it always does. And the sky was perfectly fine, of course. But inside that big, dark cave, there was nothing. Not a sound. Not a single bird, not even one little feather. The cave was totally empty. So, where did they go? Where did Chicken Little and all his friends go? What do you think happened inside that dark cave? Well, we may not know for sure what happened in there. But later that day, Fred the fox was just relaxing under a tree, and he had a very full, round belly. He patted his tummy and said to himself, "Silly birds," and then he opened up his laptop to write a brand new story. So what's the big lesson here? Chicken Little believed the very first scary thing he saw online, and it got him and all of his friends into some really big trouble. This story is a good reminder for all of us, right? We should try to be a little less like Chicken Little and a little more like Gwen and Chuck were at the beginning. So the next time you see something online that makes you feel scared or worried, just remember to stop and ask that super smart question, "Really? How do you know?" Because asking questions is absolutely the best way to stay safe from tricky foxes and from things online that just aren't true.